What's going on, everyone, and happy Father's Day. So huge shout out to all the fathers out there. Take the day to just enjoy yourself. But looking at the market from Friday, about 73% of the S&P 500 closed down in the red. And when you look at the heat map, you see more gray of anything else. But yes, 73% of the S&P 500 actually closed down in the red on Friday. But as we all know, the market has been flirting with new all-time highs every single day. It's been a pretty strong June so far, and we have a lot of action going on right now. So, Tom, let's jump right into it.
Yeah, June is awesome, and even last week was a really great move out of the SPY, but this week is actually going to be a short trading week, and we wanted everybody to know that. And just in case anyone forgot, we are going to be celebrating Juneteenth on Wednesday, June 19th, so only 4 trading days this week. Obviously, trading will open back up for Thursday and Friday, so be ready for that. But Mike, the S&P 500, like you said, has been flirting with those new all-time highs, and it's sitting right around that 544 resistance. We talked about that a lot last week, and it really failed to break out on Friday, although it got pretty close. So I'm still really watching 544. I actually have an alert on the chart, as you guys can see, with that white dotted line at the top. So if we do get a breakout, I will be alerted. I suggest you guys throwing an alert up there if you're looking to trade a breakout as well. But it's really good to see the market doing this, Mike. And I know that, we say this quite often, but it's really a handful of companies that really dictate most of the movement out there, like Meta, Nvidia, Microsoft, and others.
Absolutely. And what's more interesting right now than any other time over I guess you could say, in recent history, but even much further back, is that the top 5 largest companies in the S&P 500 quite literally control the market. And you can see that they make up 24% of the market. And when you look at historical data, it has not been this high in a long time. So the companies out there like Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, Amazon, Meta, you can even say Google, and stocks like that are really just having a massive influence on the market. So whether you're trading stocks like Nvidia or Apple or Amazon or Meta or Microsoft, or if you're not, it doesn't matter. You have to pay attention to them because, as we all know, they are running the show right now.
Yeah, they really are, and I hate to say it, but last week was such a good week, and we saw a big mixture out of these stocks, right? Like, we did see some of the tech stocks, like Apple, popping off earlier in the week, and then they started to get a little bit flat there towards the end, and then, of course, we also had a lot of the AI stocks doing well with earnings. Now, these stocks, Mike, aren't necessarily stocks that make up the market, but they definitely influence these other AI stocks, like Oracle. Adobe is one that influenced a lot of the AI stocks last week as well. We saw a lot of big jumps with those earnings, and we saw some good moves out of other smaller companies too, like ARM, SMCI, and others. You can see like the great days they even had on like Thursday heading into Friday. So there's a lot of good movement out there, Mike, in the tech sector. Of course, the top 5 most important ones like Nvidia and others were awesome last week too. I mean, look at that movement with Nvidia, Mike. It just never slows down, right? You can go look at a bunch of other charts out there like Apple and others where they got flat, but I don't know, Mike. The hype with AI lately is just it's still there, right? And people just keep mentioning it. I know Apple had that conference last week where they were talking about it as well, and it's just really boosting these companies higher in the short term.
Yeah, the money is flowing where the AI hype is going, right? Like, you even look at Apple, like that stock had one of its biggest runs in a long time last week. So much so that for a little bit there, like they were running the market just by themselves. But yeah, even if you look at companies like Adobe, like when they had that AI hype, like their earnings popped, which is pretty big. And as you already mentioned, Nvidia. The Nvidia train just keeps on running at full speed. But good stuff all around there. Follow the money while it's flowing in a pretty strong way. But, of course, be ready for when the tide does turn to make sure your risk is protected. But either way, looking at the market as a whole right now, Tom, SPY, what would you say are some of the key levels heading into this week?
Yeah, so of course I mentioned 544 already. That's definitely going to be the overhead resistance that I'm watching for. Past there, we'll pretty much be into uncharted territory. So I'll be looking for whole dollar levels like 545, 546, different areas like that till I start to see things become more established. But of course, 544 is going to be huge. Now, like let's say the market does start pulling back a little bit. There was a lot of support in the middle of this range last week, right around 540. So I'm really going to be watching that 540-ish range as a really good support. If we start breaking underneath there, you can see SPY had that really good breakout last week, and the next support under here is going to be like this 537 support right there, where you can see where it lines up. And then of course there was a big range right there, so I'm watching the bottom end of that around 531. So there's a few levels, Mike. There is some more minor ones mixed in, but those are the main levels I'll be watching this week if there are a pullback. Like I said though, obviously a breakout's preferred, and a move over 544 would be pretty awesome.
All right, good stuff there. And Tom, I do have to say that it's going to be a pretty slow week in terms of earnings, but what's on the schedule?
Yeah, it really is going to be slow, Mike. There is a lot of empty space here on there, and you guys can see some of the bigger companies that are reporting, like KBH, which is a home construction company. They could be pretty big, you know, kind of like ITB in a similar type of sector there. Thursday, we do have ACB reporting before the market opens, a pretty big MJ stock. I know Kroger's pretty big with food as well, and then Smith & Wesson for all the I guess the gun guys out there. But nonetheless, Mike, it's a very empty earnings calendar. And then switching over to the economic calendar, this is actually pretty empty too. There's not really too much coming out Monday. We do have retail sales Tuesday, a ton of Fed speakers, which could provide some action if they say some crazy stuff about cutting soon or something like that. And then Thursday, we have building permits, housing starts, and Friday, not really too much there. So yeah, honestly, Mike, pretty slow on the side of events this week, which could be a good thing, right? We could still see a lot of good hype out of NVIDIA and not really have to worry about like some data missing or anything like that.
Yeah, like sometimes weeks like these ones are actually some of the best because you don't have to worry about Jerome Powell saying something crazy, or you don't have to worry about hot inflation data or anything like that. Like you're just left to trade the price action how it is. Like you already showed, there's not really any major earnings. So this week is all going to be about price action, but that's totally fine. Like that's not necessarily a bad thing. So I'm actually kind of excited for a week where it's like we don't have to wait for Jerome Powell's speech to get over, and then we have like people acting in a hesitant way before the event. So, you know, interesting stuff there. And I don't think we've seen like a week like this one in a little while because, you know, as we know, like earnings season, it kind of like, it's not like on and off. It kind of like ramps up and then slowly drifts down. And like right now we're towards that like lower end of earnings season where it's like, there's just nothing. That's the best way to put it. But again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. So good stuff there. And Tom, let's jump right into some setups and predictions. So a stock I'm looking at right now is Chewy. This stock has been uptrending in a great way over the past couple of weeks, and on Friday it had a pretty rough day. Basically, Chewy's one of those stocks that's been struggling for a while now, but I think it's currently in the middle of a much longer sustained uptrend. The stock, again, has really had like a shift in momentum over these recent weeks, and I think this is one of those shorter term dips. That doesn't mean it's at a local bottom right now. It can definitely fall back a little bit more, but I think we're currently in the middle of like a longer term uptrend right now. So I think it's getting close to like a short term bottom. So either way, I'm going to be looking at this one in a bullish way. Again, that doesn't mean it has to go up tomorrow, but I think for like more of like a swing trade, this area might not be bad for Chewy. So either way, it's on my radar.
Yeah, it definitely won't be. The big question is just, how low are we going to get? Like, are we going to test $20 first, maybe 21? But I do like it, Mike. As it starts to dip here, I'll definitely be eyeing up this dip for sure. It's one of my stocks that I definitely kept on the radar. We've talked about it a lot. There's been a few big money plays on it this year as well. So definitely keep it on the radar for tomorrow. With my first play, I'm looking at Costco, and man, Costco just does not stop. I mean, look at this daily chart here. This is pretty insane. And on on Friday, I normally wouldn't want to talk about Costco being up here so high, but on Friday, it actually had a really good move, and it started to almost break out above the recent high. So if I do see a good continuation and move up above 857.50, then I'll keep watching this one up for a breakout opportunity. It's not going to be something I buy and hold too long, though, as Costco is at highs, and they've been doing very, very well, but it's more of a short-term play, just looking for that breakout and continuation with all the bullishness that's going on.
All right, sounds good. Costco has been a powerhouse over these past couple years, and like you mentioned, they're still running. So good stuff there. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is UVXY, and this one's a little bit different. So if we actually transfer over to the VIX really quickly, which is the volatility index, we can see this popped up by around 6% on Friday, which is a good amount for how much the SPY moved. And on Friday, the SPY actually finished up in the green just slightly. It finished up by 0.06%. So the SPY finished slightly in the green, but the VIX had like a decent move higher. So what this quite literally goes to show is that market makers are expecting more volatility in the short-term future. And almost always is that volatility associated with, bearish type price action with the market. It's not 100% guaranteed, but it does happen quite a bit. So either way, by looking at UVXY, it'll move in a somewhat similar way to the VIX in a very short-term time horizon. So it will be on my radar to the upside. And, if we actually do see a pullback, something like UVXY can do pretty well, assuming like the pullback actually has a, decent move to it and volatility actually increases. But either way, UVXY is worth having on the radar.
Yeah, and if we go over to VIX, it actually had a little pop back to the upside just a couple weeks ago. And if we go look at UVXY and you look at like the percentage up from that pop from the low to the high, it ran up 14%. I know it might not look like it on the chart because of how, it's an ETF and how it just how it moves based on what it does. But UVXY can have some pretty insane movement, Mike. So I'll definitely keep it on the radar too. With my next play, I'm looking at NVDA. This stock just does not stop in the short term, and it just keeps ripping to the upside. So Mike, I'm looking at it on the book map, and I'm like, hey, we're sitting here right around this 133 resistance. You can see some sellers here. That's going to be the main level I'm watching for tomorrow with NVIDIA. If it can break above 133 and wipe out those 348,000 shares that were stacked there on Friday, they'll probably come back in Monday. So if that does end up getting wiped out, then I will keep watching NVIDIA to the upside. It's been a hot play in the short term. I know everybody already knows NVIDIA, Mike, but, here's some really good levels on the book map, too, and it's always good to have the book map confirmation. We knew 133 was probably pretty big resistance since it rejected very close to there, but you can see it visualized right here perfectly.
All right, perfect. Well, good stuff there, Tom, and let's jump right into today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have CNK to the upside, and this one has been having some pretty good price action over the past couple days.
Yeah, it definitely has. 2.8% Friday, pretty good move Thursday. If it can break out above 1840, then watch it up.
All right. With the next one, we have Palantir also to the upside.
Palantir, I love this stock in the short term, coming up off that recent dip. If it can break out above 2370, watch it up.
All right, and then with the last one, we have SLV for both directions.
Silver. Oh, yeah. We watched this one last week, too. It started breaking out a little bit on Friday towards the end of the day. If it can move above 27.05 Monday, then watch it to the upside. Now, if it ends up falling back under 26.80, then watch it down, but hopefully it breaks out.
All right, sounds good. So we have the upside level and downside level for silver. Keep it close on watch. Don't forget about the upside levels with PLTR and CNK. But either way, these three stocks are on watch for potential day trades tomorrow if and only if they break through the levels Tom listed. If they don't break through the levels, then don't force the trades. But it's now about that time for today's big money trade, and we are looking at ticker symbol ETSY or Etsy. So on Friday, the big money put just under $400,000 into the 55 strike call options for Etsy that expire on January 17th of 2025. So these call options definitely have some time to them. They are in the money, which, makes you think this is more of like a longer term buy the dip type trade. Looking at Etsy right now, it is very close to recent lows, and it's been pretty bad for this one over like the past couple months, but it looks like the big money likes the risk reward here, and the fact that the market is roaring past new all-time highs on what seems like a weekly basis, that definitely helps just helps stocks move to the upside. As some say, a rising tide lifts all ships, and I guess that's definitely applicable to the stock market as well. But looking at Etsy right now, they definitely have a lot more work to do if this play wants a shot at running. But I think it's interesting to see this call flow come in as the stock is selling off quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting too. And, as it sells off, there was that big wick and support down around like 57 to 58, and it's getting pretty close to there again. I would not be surprised if they're trying to maybe snipe this one around the lows, for example. If it does start to come back a little bit, they could be in the driver's seat with these calls, Mike. And the thing I really like about it is that they're in the money, right? It's the 55 strike. I would not think that they're shorting those, of course. And that's a really good sign. It's not like they're trading like the 65 strikes or anything like that. It's looking a lot better. So I do like that setup with Etsy. But Mike, like, what has happened to Etsy on the daily chart here? This has been wild, right? I can't believe how low that they are whenever I start to look at them. It's not a stock I look at all the time, but definitely going to watch it off this 58 to 60 support. Looks pretty good on the daily.
Yep, so we shall see. But either way, keep a close eye on Etsy going forward. But looking at the market right now, Tom, again, we're very close to all-time highs. What I do think is pretty interesting, though, is how much of the recent rally has just been lifted and attributed to these big tech stocks. Like, again, the market technically closed in the green on Friday, but we had 73% of the S&P 500 actually down in the red. So, like, what does that tell you? It's like you look at these big tech stocks, especially like some of these ones with some AI movement lately, like Nvidia, you could say Adobe, Apple, and others. Like, they are really having such a giant impact. So, very interesting, and you better keep a very close eye on, any AI-related stocks in the short term because they have been running the show lately.
Yeah, they have, and I'm honestly, Mike, waiting for the next earnings season again, right? We just had so much talk about AI this earnings season. The next one's going to be just as fun, probably, but hopefully it's as good as this one was, right? Because so many stocks have been moving to the upside. I really liked Apple's movement last week with that conference too. That was really good to see, and I would hope that they could continue with that this week. So let's see what happens. It's going to be a short week, guys. Don't forget about the holiday coming up on Wednesday, June 19th. That's going to be a big deal this week. Every time there's a holiday, Mike, no matter what it is, we have people coming in the Discord. Why is there no trading today? So hopefully you guys learn it here, mark it down on the calendars. But yeah, let's have a great short week.
There we go. And if you guys want to get in on some of this short-term action, definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below for the Stocked Up trading floor. We have an army full of bots that basically give you everything you need for short-term trading. SM Bot has been on fire lately, especially with some of these recent moves with Apple. One of the days they had like a 700% runner with some of these Apple call options, and as we can see in the Profits channel every day, it does a pretty good job at finding where the money is flowing. But you also get access to all of our other bots, the big money trades before they're posted. You can chat with Tom and myself all day long, join our weekly live events, and a whole lot more. So if you're into short-term trading, check out that first link in the description and the comments down below to get in on the Stocked Up trading floor. But Tom, while you're in the Discord, let's also give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Golf Nut, who's been in the chat for around a month now and had a pretty good day on Friday. So keep up all the great work there. And besides that, guys, let's make this week a great one.